World Arts Academy provides professional development for emerging, practicing, and master dance artists, teachers, administrators, and scholars through advocacy and professional development opportunities that advance dance as a performing art in educational sectors and communities throughout the world. Our faculty teaches diverse dance genres in a variety of environments including, but not limited to, K through 12 schools, dance studios, colleges, and community centers. World Arts Academy envisions dance reimagined, reflective of our differences and supportive of all who dance and teach dance. A world where dance education is equitable, accessible, valued, and preserved. Please visit our website at worldartsacademy.com to see our impressive faculty, view our workshop calendar, enjoy distance learning, or help our mission by becoming a patron.
The Danceology podcast interviews the great masters of dance, the working professionals starring in today's most exciting shows, and the rising stars ready to amp up the craft. I'm your host, Edyta Sliwinska from Dancing with the Stars. Join me as I dive into the world of dance, uncovering unique stories and the fascinating personalities of industry professionals on Danceology. Welcome to the Danceology podcast. I'm your host, Edyta Sliwinska. With me in the studio is my producer, Todd. How much do you know about belly dancing? I'm a dancer, and this is one style I know very little about. I decided to fix it and invite to the show one of the most prominent belly dancers in the US today. Janelle is best known for her contagious laugh and her sultry elegance on the hit US TV show So You Think You Can Dance. She's the only classically and modern trained belly dancer ever to hit the Fox stage. Please welcome Janelle Issis Lee to the Danceology podcast. Hi Janelle, welcome to Danceology podcast. You look absolutely stunning. I am thrilled to talk to you today. I will reveal to our listeners right away, you are quite pregnant at the moment.
Oh, yes. Thank you for having me. I am very, very pregnant, Edyta. I am 7+ months right now. So,
oh, wow. So you are almost there, and this is your first one.
Yes, this is my first one, and I'm just praying I can snap right back. Looking at you have had 2 kids, so I'm feeling hopeful. You look amazing also.
Oh my goodness, you will snap in no time. I've seen you in your class and we'll talk about all of this. But let's start from the beginning, because I must confess that I know very little about belly dancing, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to it than the eye can see just on the surface. You know, the beautiful costumes and the movements of the hips. So could you tell us about belly dancing, what it really is, and where did it come from?
Absolutely. So if you were to ask Google right now, what is belly dance, they'll tell you it is the oldest dance form noted in the world, which I love that little tidbit. It's over 6,000 years old. There's a lot of information and at the same time, little information on it being started as a fertility type, ritual for women by women. It originated in Egypt and spans across many different places. And between region and region, it kind of changes. So the belly dance you see, or rag sharki, which is dance of the East, or Minat dance is another term we use to encompass all of the different regions. There's belly dance. That terminology is very Western because of the movements of the belly, and the way that it's portrayed in the US versus other places is also different. So region to region, belly dance, the term is an umbrella, and there's so much that falls underneath it. Me personally, I study several different styles between classic Egyptian, or shabi, which is like playful and spunky, or you have saidi with a cane. And then you also have, Egyptian style, which is one of my favorites, or drum solos that are all rhythmic, or it's it's a genre within a lot of genres, if that makes sense. So there's lots of percussive movements and fluid movements, contrasting body work between, soft and light, isolations of the hips. But I think the beauty of it is, for me, and the way I teach, no matter who you are, where you come from, it's accessible. You can be as gentle on the body as you like, or you may see, some of these, the way maybe Russians will approach belly dance. It's a little bit more aggressive, and there's a lot of ballet work in it, which there is ballet work in belly dance regardless. The Ukrainians dance it differently. The Chinese will dance it differently. The US definitely differently. But as long as you're feeling the music and you're respecting, enjoying your body. And for me, as long as you respect the culture, the Arab culture and where it comes from, I love anybody to belly dance, if that makes sense. So I definitely get a lot of questions where it's like, well, I'm from, I'm Australian. Is it okay for me to belly dance? Absolutely. If
Of
you respect
course,
the
yeah.
if you respect the culture and the people, and you're at least willing to take the time to say, okay, it comes from Egypt or whatever, you learn something about it, then I'm so game. Then you have other people who are like, oh, they're, it's cultural appropriation to take someone's dance and do it. And dance is free,
I
So for
agree with
me,
you. I agree with
yeah,
you.
I'm
I'm from
I'm
Poland.
against,
I dance Latin dances.
yes, I'm against that. I'm like, no, dance should be, it's free. It's freedom of body expression, and music and movement. And if, no matter where you come from, if that's something you want to do and enjoy, and yeah, just take a moment to respect. I mean, we grew up doing hip hop dance and ballet and tap and jazz and modern and contemporary and African dance, and
Well, so
it all
actually,
comes
it
from
brings me
places. So
right. So it brings me to my next question. How did you get started in belly dancing? Because is that true that you started when you were 4 years old?
yes, so I am
I would love to see
full-blooded.
that with a little Janelle in us.
I have some videos.
You do?
I do. There's a few on my Instagram that from me, like the highlight stories. There's one that says Baby J, and I've got some videos of me that we dug up from when I was like 4 and 8 and 12 maybe. They're pretty cute.
Todd, I think we will need to pull it up for our viewers when we post this
Okay.
interview.
We'll put that out on
Um,
Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
I
you started
am,
when you were 4, and
yes,
how did it
I'm
happen?
full-blooded Palestinian American. I was born in the U.S. Both my parents are Palestinian, and their parents are. It was passed down through culture, food, dance. The church I grew up in, we had Middle Eastern food festivals. So I learned at a very young age and was performing at a young age, and I just loved it. I was involved with tap, jazz, hip hop, contemporary for 17, 18 years. Belly dance was like my little secret weapon. Um, Only a few people knew about it because they would see me at a festival or something. I just kind of like hid it a little bit. The kids that knew kind of made fun of me. So I was like, okay, well, we're just not gonna, kids are mean.
Kids are mean.
But
Okay, so you
oh
are a
yeah, kids are
dancer,
mean.
but you
Yes.
started in all different styles. And the
Hmm.
belly dancing was just something that you did
Yeah. For
a
fun.
bit
It was like,
in for fun as a
yeah,
part of your culture growing up.
yeah,
But then you auditioned for the ninth season of So You Think You Can Dance, and you are the
yeah,
only belly dancer that got into top 20. Tell me about how
yes.
that came about. And
That was so
out of
fun.
the right, and out of all the styles, because you said you were training other dancers, you picked the belly dancing to be your style.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I think after college, so this was like right at the end of college when I auditioned. So I think 2011 maybe. That was a long time ago. And I really started to hone in on what resonated with me the most, and I was creating a lot of fusion work. So I have a lot of fusion work on my YouTube, of like belly dance mixed with other styles, and I really loved it. I started creating stuff for the stage and for the theater, for like college works, and I was like, I just started gravitating more and more to it, and I started, not doing, I was still heavily training in everything else. And I was always told that I needed to be so well rounded and know so many different styles. And I came to the conclusion after college a few years later that like maybe I want to hone in on one thing and really like love and appreciate everything about that. Like, so when it came to So You Think You Can Dance, my thought process was there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of contemporary dancers, hip hop dancers, tap dancers, whatever. Let me immediately set myself apart and do what makes sense, you know? So, in my solo and auditioning, I did try to show some of those technical skills because there's a lot of belly dancers who are incredible, but they are not taught to point their feet or to, do basic technical things that we see when we think of a dancer, a trained dancer. A lot of belly dancers, you have trained belly dancers and then you have very cultural belly dancers. So, and both are absolutely beautiful in their own right. And the way that I train my dancers is I want them to have pretty feet, whether their skirt is covering their feet or not. Those are things that like are just so instilled in me that, it's necessary. So yeah, I chose belly dance to set myself apart. Did not think for a second I would get on the show. I was like, let's just go have some fun and do this. I think I choreographed my number like a few days before. And I did it. I danced to like a Pitbull song because I was like, okay, they're not going to know Arabic songs. So let me dance to like some Pitbull song. And then I think the show dubbed over a different song because it wasn't cleared. And people were like, why would she dance to this? And I was like, well, that wasn't the song I chose, but you can't tell people that. But yeah, so it was, and then by the second rounds of auditions, I was like, okay, I'll dance to something a little bit more Arabic. And then I started making sure my solos were more belly, like I kind of, eased it in. But yeah, it was fun. That's why I chose
it sounds
that.
it sounds like an amazing experience, and I think you are so smart because exactly there are millions of dancers that are trained in everything, and you are that one unique belly dancer there. Now, how did So You Think You Can Dance impact your career? Did that help you form what you will do in the future? Did it help you? I know that you own a studio right now, open your studio. How did life change for you after the show?
I really think it gave me exposure. I think if I was smart then, as far as like social media and networking went, I should have played into that more. But like, even my mom was like, you need to have a Twitter. I'm like, what is Twitter? She's like, you need to have an Instagram. I was like, you're crazy. None of this stuff is like important.
Well,
I didn't care
these things
about
were new
any
too,
of,
to your defense.
yeah. And I did not, and I was like, I was dancing with some of the dancers who were like 18. They all knew these things. I was 23. I didn't know any of this stuff, or did I care? I was like, I'm just here to dance and love life. And I wasn't really thinking past it at the time. But it definitely gave me exposure, and I learned a lot. I had never been in that type of setting. I went to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and then I had right after the show, I was moving to California. That was my plan. So
that's what I was going to ask you, right?
Yeah,
yes.
me and
so
my
you
best
moved
friend,
there or not, or temporarily?
we had moved,
permanently?
and then I think I had either gotten on the show and we moved, or we moved and I got on the show. One or the other, but it was around the same time. So for the first few months, I lived with the cast versus in my apartment. but I had already moved to California once we started. But yeah, I just
Why you didn't stay? It's very tempting to. I moved to Los Angeles as well
yeah,
when I got on Dancing with the Stars,
yeah,
and stayed there for, I believe, 11 or 12 years.
yeah,
And we only moved back to Bay Area, where I am right now, because of my husband's family. After having a second child, we figured we need more support. And
uh-huh.
we had a lot of friends and acquaintances in
Right.
Los
Your
Angeles. But
priorities
when
change.
my priority has changed, and also the people that you can really rely on, they were here. They were not in LA.
That
In
is
LA, we
that
had
is
we
a
had friends we
really
could
good
go out
point.
and yes.
The people you
So
rely on. So
that is a big
I am
difference. Yes.
so close to my family. So they live in Alabama, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, um, Kentucky, like all East Coast. So to be that far away was not easy for me by any means, but I stayed in California for 3 years.
Mhm.
It This is kind of silly, but it was that moment that you think you've made these friends and you have these people that have your back, and I was only really training, which was bizarre. Like I was really heavily training in like hip hop and contemporary, and then going to these like cattle calls, and I would make it to end of auditions with hundreds
Mhm.
of girls, and then like nothing would go through. And I at the and then so and at the time, so when I got cut from the show, immediately Debbie Roberts from Showstopper on Tour, which is a dance tour, teaching tour, had called my mom and said, "I want your daughter to teach for me." My mom's like, "Who are you?" She had found my house number or something. And I got on the phone
Mhm.
with her, and I've been working with her since. So it's one of my favorite jobs. So that, having that exposure exposed me to, someone who could hire me, which I love. Teaching kids how to belly dance is one of my pride and joys of life. I absolutely love Showstoppers. I love everything about the way the business is run, who runs it, the faculty. But it was that moment in California when I was at the time dating someone who lived in Alabama. And I was like, okay, already kind of like, well, maybe I should, move back for a little bit. But then that kind of fell through, and I started dating someone in Philadelphia. I'm like, why am I dating these people that live so far away?
So far.
Why am I doing this to myself? So I was like, well, I visited New York a good bit. And my cousin lived in New York for 8 years at the time. She's a designer. And I never thought I'd move to New York. I was like, I don't like New York. I like having my car. I'm never going to live in New York. I'm not going to do that. Like, I was just so against it. And I think I was in California and my car, like, my battery died. And I was like, I just need someone to, like, pull up with their jumper and jump me off,
Who do I call? Right? Who do I call?
Okay, who do I call? I'm like, all right, I got 20 people on my phone that I have gone out of my way for more than once, who, hopefully one of them will be willing to help me. Texted all 20 of them. One person responded. I wish I
Well,
could help
welcome to
you, but I
LA.
don't
Welcome to
have a battery.
Hollywood.
That was my moment that I was like, okay, I have no friends. I have no family here. I'm on my own. You know what I mean? Like, I think my roommate was out of town at the time, which she was like my sister. So, but I was like, I can't. I was like, life is too short.
This is not it. Life is too
Yeah,
short.
this is not it. I was raised to be very raw and real with people, and I was like, I've helped these people out with so many things. And when you're a younger dancer, you do free jobs all the time, and
Yeah.
you learn eventually that, like, okay, you get to that point where you're like, I'm done doing free work for people, like dance. There's a lot of that in the industry, which is not great. So yeah, that was my moment where I was like, okay, I'm not supposed to be here. So
Well, I can
I,
completely relate to that.
yeah,
As I said, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just like, I'm ready to go. I'm done. I need something new. I was like, I've started over before. Let's do it again.
Yeah, we had with my husband similar experience when I was pregnant with my daughter, uh, and we were coming close to a due date. And you never know. Obviously, my parents were going to come from Poland, but you never know if they're going to make it. These things you can't control. And we were thinking about a backup plan. And we figure out that we have one friend that if something happens and I have to go to the hospital earlier, would be able to watch my son. But even she would be able to watch him for, maybe a day. I can't expect her to do it longer. And that was the realization for us that we just can't be here because now we have two kids. You don't know, things happen,
Hmm.
we get sick, life happens, we need support.
Totally.
So I completely get that. So going back to your story, you moved back to New York. And
So
when
I moved back to, I lived in Alabama / Philadelphia for like, I want to say 3 years back and forth. Well, maybe two. Maybe it was just two. Back and forth, like between the two. And I was visiting New York and auditioning as well. So I was like, but New York was still like, New York, I didn't want to move there because I was in the street one day and some crazy man like picked me up and threw me into the road, and like he like smacked my booty, and I was like, "Excuse me, sir," and like pushed me, and I was like, "Okay, I'm never moving here," because I was so scared. I got over
that is a wild story.
that. Yeah, it was
That
like
that would that would defer me too, for
yeah,
sure.
I was like, absolutely not am I ever moving here. Like it scared me. I got over it. My roommate's roommate, I said, if your roommate leaves, I'm moving in. Well, the next week, I'm not even kidding. She's like, I'm moving out, this roommate. I said, okay, I'm moving in. So I just made a split decision and moved to New York. Started working for Broadway Dance Center and Alvin Ailey. Um, always wanted to do my own thing. And I just started, hustling, starting over. And then, like, I think like COVID happened.
So, but you have your either studio or classes.
Uh-huh.
Tell me, how did it come about? And also, you have quite a big following on Instagram. Your classes are full. Uh, you post the videos, so let's talk about
Yeah.
that. You have
Yeah.
Zoom classes and classes that you
Yep.
can buy on demand.
Hmm.
Tell me, how did it come about? And also, who is your target audience? Who is Janelle's average follower
My
or
target
your
audience.
client? Yeah.
Yeah. So COVID hit, and I hate, it's hard for me to say this, but like I had an amazing COVID experience because I know so many people did not. And part of you feels guilty when you're like, well, COVID was the best thing that happened to my life. um, because I needed to slow down, and I needed to focus, and I needed to like realize, what I wanted to do with all of this skill, knowledge. Where was I going with it? I wasn't happy, really. I never felt like I was doing enough. Being a dancer with like just jobs randomly was not enough for me. I had some steady classes and things like that, but I don't know, something just wasn't there. I was like, I'm way too ambitious to just be teaching for other people. And I had previously developed a little program. It was called J Belly on Demand. And it was just like you could buy a jump drive from me. So it started with a jump drive, and it had, a warm up and different things on it. And it had 3 choreography classes and like a cool down and a stretch and a whatever. And you could pay, I think it was like $60, and you could buy my jump drive and I'd ship it to you. And that is where it started. And that was prior to COVID. And so when COVID hit, we thought, this is going to take like 2 weeks. We're just going to pack a suitcase. Me and my husband now at the time, or he was my boyfriend at the time, my husband now, my baby daddy. We went to my parents' beach house, and my cousin, the 3 of us. We were like, oh, we'll be here for like a week. Packed a carry-on suitcase. And we ended up staying there for 6 months.
Right.
And so,
Who
and
knew?
during
Who
that,
knew?
yeah, who knew? So during that time, I was like, what am I going to do with all this time? And he was working like remote. My cousin was working on stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to start offering classes, donation based classes. And I started building a website and a business. And people were, I mean, these classes were blowing up. I just like put them on my Instagram and was like, hey, we're having class this day, this time. If you want the link, email me or whatever. Like it was like there was no booking pages at the time. It was just like I think it was like a Squarespace website. You couldn't book on those, or I don't know. But started teaching donation-based classes. Then it started to form into like a full-blown business. I started really diving into it more of like specifically what I wanted to teach, building different class formats and styles. And yeah, I just went for it. And
So you started online. You started
yeah,
during COVID
completely
offering classes,
online.
and that
Mhm.
is this is I love your story because first of all, you're very entrepreneurial. That's very admiring. That proves
Thank you.
that dancers are not just dancers.
Right, right. I run my whole
Um,
business.
and that you can do things different way. You never know, as long as you're proactive,
Mhm.
and as long as you want to do something and establish something,
Yeah,
there are ways of doing it. So after COVID, your classes moved to physical in-person classes,
right.
and you
I
teach
knew
in
I
New
had to
York.
I knew I had to adapt in the moment, and then I could not wait to start to share in person again. And I was like, oh, so I just go back to like, working for Ailey and Broadway Dance Center? And I was like, you know, maybe I'm able to afford studio space, which is extremely expensive in New York, and pray I can
And a
have
big
students
commitment, yes.
to cover that cost. um, so I have students that now, like, they were like, I remember when you had seven students. I had 36 dancers in my class last Tuesday at 7.5 months pregnant. And it blows my mind because I'm like, you not only do my regulars still want to come, I had like 15 new students that I'm like, you guys know I'm
You have people
pregnant, right?
coming.
Like they're like, yeah, more the merrier. Like I'm like, this is crazy. But yeah, I started small. I started booking the smallest studios and promoting my classes on Instagram and Facebook. And I've never hired anyone for promotional anything. I'm actually to the
You're
point now
doing
where
it
I'm
all your
trying
own.
to, yes, business wise, like the website was built, and then I have rebuilt it since then. Um, every piece of content you see, every video you see, I have edited. Um, every graphic you see, I have edited. So I'm actually now literally, I have a meeting tomorrow to talk to a company to see what they can do for me because I'm to a point where I realize I'm not going to have the time that I have had. This baby is going to take over my life, but I don't want to give up what I'm doing. So, um, like you
You need to
mentioned,
delegate
I
some responsibilities.
have something. Yes. So I have online Zoom classes. And I call them hybrid classes. So when I teach in studio, Zoom is offered, and we put the Zoom right in the middle of the room. So you are front and center, and you get the best view of me sometimes more than the students. And then I also teach classes from home, so Zoom only. Um, I'm currently developing a prenatal program because, as I previously mentioned, belly dance is a form of, you know, a fertility ritual, whether that's
Fertility
just like
dance.
loving and respecting your body or preparing for childbirth and or after. I have a belly dance burn program that I developed years ago that's trademarked and was featured on
A
the Wendy
fitness,
Williams
like
show.
getting in shape
Yes.
type of thing.
So
Uh-huh.
it's beginner friendly. You literally can pay for it month to month, or you can buy individual classes from it. And it was featured on the Wendy Williams show, and it has a full foundational series, and it also has sections. It's broken up into time. So like if you have 15 minutes, you can click on the 15-minute tab. You can take a 15-minute class, feel good, get those endorphins, and go about your day. Or if you have an hour, you can take an hour class or a 30-minute class or a 45-minute class. There's also like bonus material. And then I have my on-demand classes, which is professional training. So there's, again, levels, beginner.
If you really want to dive into it.
Intermediate, advanced, topics and techniques. And then there's master classes in choreography or intensive. So choosing, sometimes it's like, people are like, I don't know what to choose, because I get it. I'm like, I offer a lot.
You have a lot of content. You have a lot. It sounds like you have a lot of content.
Yeah, a lot of content. Some of it's filmed just me in a studio. Some of it's filmed with students. And I just opened up a 1-year subscription, because some people are like, I don't want to pay once a month. I just want 1-year subscription for everything. So I just did that, because I was like, okay, that's actually smart, because when I buy something like a Zoom membership, I don't want to pay month to month. I want to pay the whole year and be done with it, or whatever, all the things we use for work. I want to just pay for it and not see it again and just enjoy it.
And I'm
so
sure,
like, that's smart.
Right. And I'm sure your business is going to be evolving in different ways based on what your clients need. There's a lot of female energy in your classes when you look at it. So my question is,
you would ask me about my target audience.
Your target audience, right? And also, is belly dancing reserved only for women? Can men belly dance?
Totally.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
They can. Do you get male students?
So I did more when I was at Broadway Dance Center, and for sure, I would teach even like I taught their student programs for a few years. Would have like master classes with them, and that was always so fun, because I'd have like 10 guys at once, and they're all like, but they were so fun. So there's some fun videos on my YouTube of the fellas. They were always wonderful. And it's a little harder now with bringing a male into my class, typically be my drummer if there is a male in class. And I do have to let my students know, because culturally I do have hijab wearing women, and usually it's not a problem, but every now and then I have a male who wants to come to class. For me, I just vet them. I make sure that they're either a professional dancer, or that they're currently training in the art, or that they're there for the right reasons.
Right.
I certainly don't just let anybody into my class. I want my students to feel safe to express themselves. And if I do have a male dancer, I welcome them with open arms. One of my close friends is a dancer, and he's a belly dancer. Some of the most well-known belly dancers in the U.S., in the world, are males. Mahmoud Reda is one of the founders of like the Reda troupe, which is the folklore of everything belly dance that started in Egypt. He took these ritual dances that he saw throughout the towns and the villages of Egypt and further, and adapted them for stage. So everything's been adapted and changed.
How is it different for guys? What if you would teach a male, would you teach him exactly the same way as a female? There are quite significant anatomical differences.
I definitely,
guys have a lot less hips.
Yeah, I definitely get boys during like my showstopper seasons, because it's there's tons of male dancers on convention and you're in your regular circuit of dance and your commercial circuit of dance. So a lot of times, like, I want my ladies to be a bit more feminine, or different qualities I might share with them of how I want them to do the routine. And if I do have a few males in there, like when we're shoulder shimmying, I may not have their hands super soft. Maybe their hands are in fists. Or if they're more of a Broadway jazz dancer, I'm going to tailor my movement a little bit towards that dancer to make sure they're getting something new from me, but also staying true to, if they are a very masculine dancer, I want them to portray that. I don't want them to all of a sudden just be feminine because the style is more feminine. Belly dance can also be very strong. Like if you're doing a drum solo, it can be very strong and masculine. It doesn't have to be, although we are isolating hips, chest, belly, shoulders, which all sounds feminine, you can definitely tailor your movement depending on the music or the energy of what you're doing. I do teach my men a little bit differently, but then at the same time, I think it's important that they learn how to use their hips and they learn how to isolate different parts of their bodies and they find a different challenge within dance and take and choose and pick what they want to keep in their repertoire, their personal style. And I always say, like, well, do you want to be a ballroom dancer? They're like, yeah, I want a partner. I'm like, okay, well, then you need to learn how to use your hips, right? You're a
Absolutely.
ballroom dancer and you
There's
know that like there's so much hip work
there
and
there's a lot of hip work, and
carriage
I feel
and
like there's a male and female ways of making that
yes,
hip movement
sure.
work and the way it looks. And I think that there are a fair share amount of guys that you would look at and you could tell that they, to an average viewer, look feminine, but
Mhm.
some of the most masculine dancers use their hips and use their arms in a very beautiful way, and they still
Yeah.
look very masculine.
I
I think it's a
completely
style of
agree.
choice, but it can be
Yeah.
done, and it's absolutely
Mhm.
possible.
I think it's the
But the
same for
next,
belly dance for sure. Yeah.
I just
Mhm.
didn't know if it's culture appropriate for guys to do it. So once you said that it is, and that actually some of the most famous belly dancers are
Mhm.
men, then I'm looking at it from a completely different point of view. So I'm looking at it like in ballroom dancing. Sometimes women and male have the same steps, and they dance. They use their hips, as we were talking about, and their rib cage, and they isolate. But we just do it in a different way.
Right,
But
right.
so there's nothing. Now I'm looking at it as adjusting the style to the male and the female figure and
Yeah.
personal abilities and preferences.
Yeah. Also, I feel like a
Uh,
lot of male belly dancers do dance like the women, and it's still really
and
beautiful.
it's
It's
fine.
still no matter what, it's gonna look different, right? No belly. I would say there's as many belly dance styles as there are belly dancers because no two are ever gonna look the same.
We're
And
gonna
for
the
me in my
same.
classes, I don't want to create a bunch of Janelle minions. I want you to take what I'm teaching you, feel it in your body, dance with feeling first, technique second. And no matter what you do, like your goal is not to look like me or me to look like you. It's to like, there's so many interpretations of different movements. And I think with any style of dance, like it's, we do a group routine. Of course, we want you to do the same movement together, but at no point are you identical to your neighbor. Like our bodies are different, our dance backgrounds are different, our the way we express are different. So I think it's a nice art form just to like tap into. And like I said, you can be as gentle as you want or as like wild as you want doing floor work and all these like hard things and props. And, there's definitely levels of it to tap into.
Well, maybe that's one of the appeals of belly dancing, that you have a lot of freedom to express yourself. I feel like, for example, in ballroom dancing, there is room for expression, but there are also so many rules and so many standards that you need to kind of live up to and follow, that it's sometimes it's easy to lose your personality with that. But my next question is a bit well, let me just get into it. So
Okay.
belly dancing is very sensual,
Yes.
almost, I would say, erotic, and at least to like an average viewer. And yet it comes from very conservative culture. So when traditionally women are more covered than in Western culture, and where certain behaviors are not accepted. And in
Mhm.
Western culture, I wear a sports bra and shorts when I go to a gym. I see teenagers wearing crop tops and they go to school. Um, uh, but in Middle Eastern culture, you have many places where women are not even allowed to show their face.
Right.
So how did belly dancing sprout out of such conservative culture? Where How do we
So
connect the two?
that's where it was like more adapted for stage. You have your like golden era
So it's a
dancers.
performance. dance?
So it started as folklore, where, as I had mentioned, it was for women by women. So growing up in Arab culture, typically men would be in one room smoking hookah, talking politics, doing their thing. Women were in the kitchen together. And, they started dancing and singing and enjoying each other. And they were always in galabeyas, which were, full covered dresses. If there was no men in the room, I am Christian Catholic, I'm a Catholic Palestinian. There's lots of, Muslim Palestinians and Muslim Arabs. And of course, like their rules are different. But even me growing up, my family, I remember there being, men in one room and women in another, and we'd have to go in and say hi, and I never wanted to. And
So are you saying that originally when women would dance belly dancing, men would not see
at
it?
home? No.
At home. Got it.
No. And even in, I've never been able to go to where my family is from. And like even, in Egypt and growing up and things like that, like they don't necessarily allow their own women to dance. So it was foreigners that would come in and start these dances, and start taking these things to the stage and to the clubs and shows. And they wore the bras and the skirts and would have the veils and, be very mysterious. And it was very like feminine, but cute. It was never erotic or like overly done. But at that time it was, because it was like, oh, their
because it was a
is
shock to the
showing.
culture, of course.
The
Yes.
stomach is showing, their legs are showing, their arms are showing. So like I said, like it was always at home. It was a dance done at home. That's why I have a lot of students that are like, well, I want to just dance in my room at home. I'm gonna lock my door and dance at home. And I'm like, okay, join one of my on-demand programs. You can tap in any time of the day, and it doesn't matter what it is,
in the privacy of your home, in
your
comfort.
home, and enjoy that and still get that good energy you want. Or I have students who are like, is there men in your class? Like they just want to come in, they want to take their hijab off and they want to dance. And then go about their day. It's like their secret. And if that's for them and that's how it is, that's fine. I totally respect that and respect them. And then I have, my students who are American, or in New York, I have students who are in one room. I'll have, 20 different cultures in one room, which is so cool to me, all there for different reasons. Wanting to maybe feel sexy, or maybe it makes them feel happy, or get a workout, or make new friends, or maybe they had sexual trauma and they're trying to overcome that. Like the things that these dancers share with me there's moments where I'm like, I would have never thought that would be a reason why you would ever want to belly dance, but it makes sense. I feel very blessed to grow up the way that I did, with an open, loving family who supported me dancing. My parents didn't try to cover me up or push me down. They encouraged what I was good at and would tell other people, because people would be like, oh, how do you let your daughter do this? And my dad's like, do what? She's talented. She's good at it. There's nothing she's doing wrong. So why are you, So I think that helps. You listen to what you're told. So I try to give my students that same like love and like
Acceptance and encouragement.
Acceptance. Yeah. No matter where you are, if you can't shoulder shimmy, I'll get you there in a few weeks. Don't you worry. Like you're gonna, I don't know. There's just so much I could talk about. Like, but as far as like it being adapted for stage, Mahmoud Reda was one of the people who took these folklore dances that he saw, or these ritual dances, or these different things for different tribes and villages, and said, okay, like, these men were doing Saidi, the port of Said, and they have sticks, and it's a martial art fighting dance. Okay. They don't hit each other. He started taking all these notes, studying the music. And he took Saidi and he created, it's called a tahtib, which is a stick, and he created Raqs al-Asaya, or Saidi dance. And it's something we do now for stage. So he adapted this dance for women and men too.
Right.
Men do Saidi. and we have a cane, and it's a very strong dance, and it has like horse-like steps, and you wear a galabeya, you wear a little sash. It has a martial art energy to it. So
It
everything's
sounds
been
incredibly
taken
cool.
and adapted. That's just one of those styles. My upcoming show on March 3rd with my dancers, I have like 70 something dancers at our show, our second
All right,
annual J
so wait
Belly
a second.
School of
You have
Rock
a
show.
show, but you are not performing. Please
I'm
tell.
performing.
You are okay. So this is insane. As of this recording, as you mentioned at the beginning, you are seven and a
Yeah.
half months pregnant.
It's
You're gonna
next
be
weekend,
8.
actually.
Oh, it's next weekend. All right. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
incredible. This is
Yeah, I
absolutely
haven't stopped.
incredible.
I think I've been teaching about 10 classes a week. My family thinks I'm nuts, but my doctor says I'm healthy. My baby is healthy, and
You are not
people want
doing
to
anything.
give
Yeah.
their opinion. At 3 months, I was back bending on stage to live music, and I remember I was like, I got up and I saw my husband in the audience, and I go, no one knew I was pregnant yet. And in my mind, I go, oh my God, I forgot I was pregnant. I hope my baby's okay because I was on the floor waving like a snake, and I was like, oh no, I'm pregnant. I just forgot. Like, I was so in my moment. Our last show,
Well,
I was
people.
about 3 months pregnant, and then I didn't tell anybody till I was like 4.5 because I started the show and I had to say
Well,
something.
I think this is incredible because I think belly dancing is probably the only form of dance where I can see someone come on a stage and perform and it will look still appropriate. I can't
Right.
imagine a ballerina perform or ballroom dancer
So I'm
performing with a
not
belly.
gonna I'm
But
definitely have not taken any, like, obviously I'm not doing, I gave all my wedding jobs and things away to friends, and said, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm now 5 months pregnant, I can no longer perform at your wedding, please let me book you someone else. So yeah, I'm not gonna show up and perform at someone's event, but because this is my own event,
right.
the show is called Watermelon, and Bakhtiha, and it is for just like our respect and love towards Palestine, as well as my growing belly. And
I think
I
it's
love
so
that my
encouraging to all the pregnant women out there. They can see you dance
yeah,
and doing it happily and comfortably.
right. I want people to
It's
feel
incredible.
confident with their body, and that's something. It took me a minute. I've always been pretty tiny, so to gain 25 pounds of baby, I'm like, okay, this is new. The first, as I started to show and I started to really show, I was like, whoa, like it was weird for me to watch myself. And now I'm like, oh, it looks kind of cool.
I
you
think it
know?
looks incredibly cool. I think what you're
Thank
doing
you.
is very inspiring. Um, but this child is going to be obviously a life-changing event in your life, as it is for everyone. But it's particularly for us dancers because everything we do involve our bodies. So, a couple of questions that I have is, with me, for example, I waited until I was 35 to get pregnant. Uh, and I felt like after I have a kid, I will not go back to to performing. That was kind of my goal. It's not like I try to plan everything. I know that not everything goes always according to plans, but I just thought, okay, I'm 35, I'm gonna have a child. It's probably time to stop performing. And given that ballroom dancer performances are very high demanding, also physically, I know
Absolutely.
that there are women that have children earlier and they continue in their career. So first of all, how do you think pregnancy and having a child will impact your career? And what are your plans for the future? What changes are you planning to implement in your life? How do you see yourself, let's say, in 2-3 years with a baby in your career and the dance student, the
Yeah.
performances?
Yeah.
What's going to change?
I think I'm gonna be a learn as I go. I'm 35, so my baby is actually due. He is due on my birthday. I'll be 36. So Whether
That
I
would be the
have
best gift.
a few days before, a few days after, it's whatever. Whenever he decides to come is fine. But I have this show, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the last big thing I do for a minute. And then I have a job in March for a Bellydance festival, and I was like, okay, this will be the last thing I do before I have this baby. And I'm like, asking them like, you guys still want me to teach like 8 months pregnant? And they're like, if you're comfortable
If
and
you're
you feel
okay.
okay, we would love to have you. And I'm like, okay, sure. I've been every week I check with my doctors. Am I still good to fly? They're like, you're still good. So I'm like, okay. And I mean, I'm definitely, I want to take 2 months to just have me and baby. But I think I would lose my mind if I wasn't, teaching and dancing. And I think if I can get back to what I like to be physically, which
Oh, you will.
I'm not stressing about or worrying about. I definitely think I will. I'm not ready to like give it up,
Give it up.
So, and I
No,
think it just may be less, and that's okay. Like, I'm okay with doing less. I'm okay with maybe delegating, maybe finding, recently for the first time, I hired a few beautifully talented, wonderful people to help me teach classes or to like, keep my business, alive to be able to offer because it was always just me, everything, so that's been amazing to have some amazing teachers to, teach a group piece or a program or um, that's hard for me because I want
and
things a certain way. I'm hands-on. I'm very personable. I'm accessible. If someone reaches out to me on Instagram, Facebook, my Google, my website, like you're going to get a response from me. And I think that's what helped me grow, making myself accessible. And I know that it's not going to be the same. So finding ways
with a
to
baby.
adapt. Right. So like I said, like I think I'm gonna have to take it as it comes
Was it
and
was
see
it a
what's
hard
needed.
was it a hard decision for you? Did you feel like you uh giving something up to get pregnant? Because that's the thing with, being a dancer. I waited until a certain age because I felt like I don't want to give up anything in my career. And although,
Yeah.
as you're saying, it was so funny that you said you have this show and you have this gig in March, and you're like, this is my last thing. And then, I thought I'm never going to perform after having a baby. And I had a show in Mexico, and my son was 3 months old. And we
Yeah.
performed with my husband. We took the baby. It was a bit of a disaster. It was the first time I remember. It was the first time in my life when I went outside, of my hometown
Uh-huh.
to do a performance, and I forgot my dance shoes. And you cannot dance ballroom without your dance
No.
shoes. And we were in Cancun. We had a show the next day, and I don't have dance shoes because it was my mommy's brain packing my
Yeah.
child for the first flight.
Yeah.
The diapers, the diaper bag, the bottles, everything. And I repacked it and packed it in different suitcases, and I just didn't take my dance shoes. We were scrambling. The story has a happy ending. We were scrambling. My husband is an angel. He had some dance studio, contacted the dance studio, and they brought us a bunch of salsa shoes, which look pretty much
Uh-huh.
like ballroom shoes,
Yeah.
to the hotel, and one of them fit. And I was just thanking God. But I did not stop. I kept performing. I kept teaching.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you will do the same thing. But did you feel making that decision that you are giving something up, or you are totally fully
I had
confident?
baby fever for a while. Um, yeah, no, me and my husband were very ready. We got married in
Very
July.
ready.
And then 2 weeks later, we made our baby. We didn't think it would happen that quickly, or we weren't really trying not to, we weren't really trying to. We were like, okay, it's in God's hands. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I was like, okay, let's do it.
I think it's
I don't.
amazing.
Yeah,
Editor,
I
I want
think
to
I
your
don't.
business will adjust. Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Right,
jump in with
right.
just a couple things real quick that you might find interesting. There's actually a little science about this, about being pregnant and belly dancing.
Yeah, I'd love to
So
hear
most
it.
most styles of dance you can still dance while pregnant. Doctors really want you to avoid anything too acrobatic to harm the baby.
Right.
But if you had to choose the belly dance style to take while pregnant, it is belly dance. And here's why. There's actually some science behind this, that it actually aids in your ability to deal with labor, because a lot of the movements in belly dance flow with the natural rhythms of a laboring body. So it actually
There
will
you
wind up
go.
being a
I think
benefit
it
to
might
you
be
down the line.
your new business little
Yeah.
avenue to pursue. Why not?
There are a few books and videos out that have existed, through the years, of people that have been professional belly dancers that have done, dancing while pregnant videos and things like that. But there's a lot of science catching up with it now and what you can
Mhm.
and can't do. Edited, did you dance at all while you were pregnant?
I did. I taught dancing. We produced our shows when I was still pregnant with both of my kids. So my last job in dancing was um, teaching dancers. That's the funniest thing. I could not perform at that point, but since I came up with the choreography for the show, I was teaching when I was about where you are right now,
Yeah.
about 7 months pregnant. And I remember they were laughing at me, but obviously very with a
Right, right.
well-meaning laugh. They were
Yeah.
they were just joking, and I remember one of the guys tapped his tummy, and we did a little duet dancing. I did dance, and one important thing that people need to understand is that when you are pregnant, you don't need to stop all your activities. Quite opposite. You want to continue what you are doing as much as possible, so your body doesn't shut down and doesn't feel like there's something extraordinary, although it is very extraordinary, but you want to keep it as normal conditions as possible. So for example, I asked my doctor about running, and he goes, well, if you never ran before, don't go and try to run marathon when you're pregnant. But if you are a runner and you run every day for an hour, when you get pregnant,
Mhm.
you can keep doing it as long as you are comfortable.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same with dancing. I definitely continued. I would just not perform. Just the spins are a little bit problematic in ballroom. The gravity takes you out of balance. But I did dance, and I did continue teaching as I was pregnant. And I felt like it kept me in shape. It kept me sane. And I feel like you are going to bounce back so quickly, and you're going to feel so amazing. And
Yeah.
the appreciation that we get for our bodies after
It's
pregnancy is
amazing.
just incredible.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm mind blown that there's a baby in here. Every day I'm like, he's like kicking me right now. I'm like, he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, you're sitting too still, Mama.
uh,
You need to move.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I've been sitting here for an hour. It's time to go sit
Right,
on a
right. It's
ball or
time to
something.
move.
Edit,
So,
as we
Sure.
as we we get close to wrapping
yes.
up here, we're about out of time. I just want to say one thing that I really admire about belly dance is that, I'm a big proponent of activities you can do for life, that you can do something when you're young and middle age and older. There's not a lot of things like that you can do, particularly in athletics. You
Mhm.
can't go out and play football when you're 55. You're going to risk injury, or soccer, or whatever it might be.
Right, right.
So, if you know tennis when you're younger, you can know it in the middle of your life. You know it when you're older. When it comes to dance, it's the same way. You really can't do ballet past a certain age, but belly dance seems to be one of those great styles of dance that you can do regardless of size or shape or age. Would you say that that's
Yeah.
accurate?
I would totally say that's accurate. I think my students are from the age of 3 years old to, I have I think my oldest student currently is 82. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Did you say
yeah.
82?
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
is incredible. What an inspiration.
And she's someone that
What an
takes from
inspiration.
home. I have a student that comes into the studio, and I believe she's 67, or maybe a little bit older. I'm not sure. My teacher is, I want to say, in her 70s. And when I get to see her, I'm like, okay, show me something. Like, you know, she just stopped teaching, which I wish she would still teach because she's beautiful. And the quality of movement is so different. I know that we said earlier that like it can be a very sensual dance. It can be very sexy and, you know, like very feminine, but it can also be just like so sweet or just like beautiful movement, or there's so many different qualities. And I think it has a lot to do with the dancer, the setting that they're in, you know, a wedding versus a club, or a, you know, like a kid's birthday party versus a bachelorette party. We do not do bachelor parties. If you have a belly dancer at your bachelor party, she's not a belly dancer.
Okay.
There's a fine line.
She's a different type of dancer. Let's say that.
But I respect that. I respect what they do too, you know, like that's totally different and that's wonderful. Movement is movement.
Let's say the belly dancing is an inspiration. It's a theme.
It's just different. You know, the belly dance, and it should be classy and respectful, and it's a beautiful art form. I think all dance, no matter what it is an art form, and it's right. So yeah.
Well,
for sure.
Thank you for telling us about what belly dancing is. Thank you for sharing your story. Huge congratulations to you. I'm going to be looking out at your posts once you have the baby. I don't know if you're going to be comfortable sharing, but I'll be following your journey, whether you will share or not. I'm sure you're going to do fabulous. So please tell us, how can people find you on internet and social media?
Of course. Well, on Instagram, my Instagram is J, just the letter, Belly, Belly, Burn, BURN. So
J Belly Burn.
J Belly Burn, and my website link is in that bio. Everything is on my website, so you can navigate to take class. I have a full freebie link on my website as well. If you're like, okay, well, let me take a class or two and check her out before you commit to anything, or if you want to come to New York class and you don't live in New York, you can sign up for an in-studio class and take the Zoom version and feel like you are right there with us. And if you are far, far away and your schedule doesn't match up, you can sign up for one of my several on-demand options. And if you are planning to have kids, had kids, or maybe not even don't want to have kids and you just want to connect to your body in a different way, my prenatal course will hopefully be available in a few months. And we do lots of, you know, different stretches and light dancing and things, ball work and all kinds of stuff on there. So it's, if you want fitness, there's Bellydance Burn, lots of options. So my website is JanelleIssis.com.
JBellyburn and JanelleIssis.com. Janelle, thank you again so much. We are very excited for you.
Edyta.
You take care.
I enjoyed talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Danceology podcast. Please be sure to rate and review this episode. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at danceologypodcast@gmail.com. We are also on Instagram and Facebook at Danceology Podcast and available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Metacortex Publishing hopes that you've enjoyed this presentation.
Please take a moment to listen to some other podcast offerings from Metacortex Publishing.
A quest is a search for something. And every week, the Quest podcast will show you how we know what we know through interviews with people that have incredible stories of dedication and perseverance. I'm your host, Todd Fisher. Join me in this thought-provoking and inspiring podcast of discovery. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
The No Earthly Explanation podcast investigates the things that are unexplainable. Hosted by world-renowned investigative researcher Donald R. Schmidt and scientist Ellie Ringo. Follow them as they look for evidence for things that have no earthly explanation. Available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Father Daniel Duplantis, a Catholic priest, martial artist, and host of the Karate Priest podcast. Have you ever wondered what the church teaches about different topics? Are you a martial arts enthusiast or just someone who wants to learn more about martial arts? I'd like to invite you to join me and many guests on my podcast as we cover topics of faith, everyday living, and martial arts on the Karate Priest podcast.
Hi everybody, I'm Amber Rose, the religious hippie, and I host the podcast A Catholic's Perspective. Join me every 2 weeks as I release episodes targeted towards helping young Catholics navigate their ever-changing secular world while staying strong in their faith. Whether you are a Catholic or not, all are welcome here. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to tune in. You can find A Catholic's Perspective on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I hope to see you there. Bye!
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please be sure to rate and review this episode. This podcast is produced by Todd Fisher and Anthony Smith and is distributed by Metacortex Publishing. This podcast is copyright. Any previously trademarked or copyright content is used by permission. Information and opinions stated in this podcast should not be construed as medical advice. Please be sure to visit the official website for Metacortex Publishing at metacortexpublishing.com or find us on social media for other unique content.